My name is Doreen, and my project is on the active literacy versus passive habitation, investigating the relationship between coping strategy selection and mental health stability in adolescence. So, from the background, I started to take AP psychology for my school year as a senior, learning more about the mental health aspects, how people have various mental healths, and the way that people be trying to solve their mental health with various brain functions, solutions, and going to the doctors to solve to help improve their mental health. People also use medications and talk therapy for this. But I also have people who are also dealing with mental health, people that I personally know, and at school as well, which I started to question if students in high school also have mental health. Like, people from the ninth to 12th grade, are they dealing with mental health too? So, which questions me to to think if students are having a specific way to deal with stress, because I know that people have different backgrounds in mental health in various forms of dealing with that stress. So I was thinking it could those specific way that people deal with stress, it could be an active way of dealing with the stress or a passive way of dealing with that stress. So which leads me to the question, how do the patterns of utilizing active versus passive coping strategies relate to the levels of self-reported mental well-being among the ninth through 12th grade students in District X high school? So before we start the presentation, we should also define some terms. Coping, in which it means conscious and unconscious recognitions that people use to manage unpleasant emotions, stress, and anxiety. Active, be taking direct action to address a stressor or manage one's emotions. Passive, avoiding the problems or relying on external factors rather than your own initiative to manage the situation. In one of the studies done by Donna Holland and Heidi Wheeler, they presented information more about coping methods and mechanisms that helping help increase the professional services, because in coping there's adaptive and maladaptive. Adaptive meaning trying to make their way into society by going going more into the physical harnesses, and maladaptive being using other outside forms like phones, technologies, or anything of the sort. But with this study that they made, it was an increase of professional services. So like counseling, mental health experts, therapists, and psychologists as well. In my research, I used Microsoft Forms as a way to conduct a survey for my research. This survey is more applicable to students because my high school does a more uses more Microsoft applications like Microsoft Office, Outlook, and more. And also having Microsoft emails, which makes it more functioning for those without it to have reduce any problems with the survey. I I made a 13 question uh, I made a 13 question Likert scale that applies to all of them except for the first two. The first two being what grade are you currently in and what type of social studies class are you in. Because in my high school, we have four different types of social studies classes, such as option 1, option 2, honors, honors, and also AP. AP being the highest, option 1 being the lowest. And the what grade are you currently in is from 9th through 12th. The rest of these questions are all on a Likert scale, which post until the past 2 weeks, because this helps with recency in what the students will be dealing with, how much stress are they dealing with within those 2 weeks, and also the non-bias being from a whole year or several months ago, or etc. From these results from the survey, I got a total of 492 responses, with 65 people in the 9th grade, 115 people in the 10th grade, 189 people in the 11th grade, and 123 people in the 12th grade. Whilst them taking the various social studies classes, it was 121 for option 1, 180 for option 2, 77 for honors, and 134 for AP. So from these results, there was a very, very deep understanding from the grades. Each grade had each grade had like a lot of results for the Likert scales. For example, a lot of people used dissatisfied as, with 54 people saying they were very dissatisfied, while 103 people reported being dissatisfied. The remaining 30% of the people, they either selected neither agree nor disagree to indicate their mental health of the time. They also tackled upon the other questions about the active and passive coping styles, such as the active being over 45% of students saying they agreed or strongly agreed with the statements, whilst the rest were disagree or very disagree or never. Whilst in the passive coping style, there were a lot of people who said, well, with a combined of students, 22.7% saying often or frequently for higher frequencies of more passive results. From this research, there was a lot of big limitations, such as a small sample size and a lack of specific questions. There was a small sample size as there wasn't enough people to conduct my research, as there's an estimated total of 1,600 students in my high school. So a lot of people had ignored this survey and disregarded it or didn't answer most of the questions, just questions that they wanted to. And the lack of specific questions, there weren't questions that went into detail, as they were mainly vague, which was a problem on my part to conduct that research. But there's also some implication significance. future psychologists or people that are studying in the mental health aspect, they could use my research to see how adolescents or students in the high school would function for dealing with their mental health, either in a passive way or active way of research. For the significance, there's a there's a lot of significance that people could use, like using using oh um using the whole nation as a whole scale, as this would help obtain more results and more ways in high school that future researchers could use. And that's it. Thank you.